What I'm going to show you today is how to create a bulk invoice generation. So there's a few things that we need for this to work efficiently. One is we need to have billable entries under the client's profile, and they need to have a status of unpaid, like this one here. For any billable entry that has had an invoice created out of it, depending on the invoice itself or whether it's sent or reconciled, those statuses will reflect here on each billable entry. Now there's two ways to create a billable entry. One is through the roster itself, once a shift has been completed, and the other one is through billable tasks as well, once that has been deemed as billable and as completed. There is actually a third option as well for both HTTP, NDIS, and private, which is the ability to create manual billable entries. And that can be done by this form here. Once we know we have all the billable entries that we need, we can come over to the invoicing section and we can come over to bulk draft. Once we're on this section, we can just hit the new button at the top right, and that will take us to this page here. All we have to do is select the date range that we need to create the invoices for. So let's say we're doing it for last week, so the 3rd to the 9th. Once we hit apply, that's going to pull all billable entries for all clients, which have the status unpaid. And if we open up each client here, we can see all of those are listed here as well. Now there's a few things we can do with this. Let's say for an example for the client Alice, each of these different billable lines are going to be sent to a different provider, third party, maybe the client themselves. What we can actually do is we can come in and select a different contact based off the finance contacts and based off if they're actually assigned to the client as well. So let's say for an example, this one's going to Green Care as well as this one, and the rest are going to My Care. What this will do is when we do press generate, this is going to create a separate invoice for My Care and a separate invoice for Green Care for both the client Alice as well. So it reduces all that manual work of having to come in and do another bulk invoice generation. And this can be done for all clients as well, depending on who they actually have assigned as their finance contact. Now, when we're in the client's profile, we can either choose to exclude individual billable line items, or if we need, we can choose to exclude the whole client as well. What that means is once we come in and create another bulk draft invoice generation, all of the ones that are still marked unpaid, which this client will because they're excluded, will then be included in the next one. Let's say for an example, all of these clients are going to be included. We've selected who's going to be sent the invoices. All we have to do is select the due date, select if there's tax included or tax excluded, and then all we have to do is generate. And you'll see in a few seconds that these will be generated and these will all be sent to your accounting provider, whether it be Xero or MyOb. Now if we come back over to a client's profile that we just did that for, we'll be able to see that these have now been authorized because they've been included in a invoice generation. And if we do try and create another bulk draft, these now won't show up because they are attached to an invoice. If we do go into our accounting software and we choose to void them, or we do choose to reconcile them, they'll also be reflected in Imploy as well under each billable item.